Clotheslines and Headlines 2.0. We are back, episode 21. Mike Rossi, what's going on, bud?
Not much, dude. How we doing?
We're doing good. We're about 10 days away from WrestleMania 38. I'm starting to look forward to it. Rocco, are you looking forward to it? You ready to rock and roll? You got a new background ready to go?
Hell yeah, man. 21. We could finally drink together. It's going to be great.
All right, let's have a beer together, guys. Nice. Perfect. All right, guys. So we've previewed this forever. We've been talking WrestleMania since January, from the Royal Rumble to Elimination Chamber to the last weekend's kind of catch up on where we're at. So we got our fingers on the pulse of what's going on at WrestleMania. If you haven't heard my previews every day at 7 o'clock on the YouTube, I am dropping match per night, 15 days of WrestleMania, whatever you want to call it. I've had Rocco on last week where we did the 6 women's match for WrestleMania. And I'm going to have Rossi coming on this weekend, hopefully. And then we're just going to kind of get to WrestleMania that way. So this way, guys, you know me, I like my gimmicks. So let's explain the game. Guys, these tier systems are kind of hot, you would see. What do you think?
Yeah, I see them happening all the time. There's a lot of metal album charts that I see all the time with people lumping shit in there and horror movie top Hall of Fames and shit. So yeah, I've seen them done a lot, and it's going to be exciting to see you be the engineer and do it. Make it happen.
Yeah, buddy. So what we're thinking here is we got our little trusty tier guide right here. We got our top tier being all time, 4.5 stars and up. We got this A tier, we'll call it, but we're going to go 3.75 area, give or take a little, give a quarter, take a quarter, which is going to be the very good to great section. In the middle tier here, we have the good section, around 3 stars. After that, we have our second to last section, the 2-star. It's, an okay match. And then we have our bottom star, which is our dud. Now, we are using star ratings just kind of as let's just call it a shorthand example to move conversation on how we're feeling with this build, with how we anticipate the match is going to turn out, kind of thing. So do you guys get the sentiment of how we're going to do this?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Any questions before we start ripping?
So if I think something's going to be like 4.25, would we just kind of put it in between the top 2?
If it's a high 4.25, let's put it all time. If it's the ceiling is 4.25, then let's put it in the very good. If an all-time match is a home run, but there's no way it's not fucking excellent, then let's put it in the top tier. If I think it's going to be good, but more likely it's going to be a dud, it's okay. You kind of get the sentiment?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, guys, let's start. Let's start hot. I'm going to grab John Cena and Austin Theory. I'm going to stick it in the good column. The build's been pretty good, but Cena's a little long in the tooth. There's a pretty good story here, but Theory, I don't want to call him green because he's accomplished a lot and he's very trustworthy for the age of 25, 26 or whatever. So I'm personally playing it safe by saying it's going to be a very good match since John Cena has wrestled 5 minutes in a tag match, SummerSlam 2021. So either one of you guys want to make a case to go either way. I think this is going to be a good match at the end of the day.
I think this can easily slot anywhere from 3 to 4, but 4 is probably the ceiling. Yep. So yeah, I think good safe. Like I don't think it's going to be. I think the floor is also about 3 as well, maybe 2.75 or so. So I think the floor is good, but there's that very good possibility for sure if Cena's got himself in good ring shape over the last couple months, and Theory can go. So I think they'll tell a good story inside the match.
It's just a baseline for a good story. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know if the Cena athleticism will really let it get past that 3.54 range. But I can definitely see a lane where it gets there. But I really, to your point, I don't think it goes below a 3. So I think you're in the right spot here.
Yeah, this sounds just about right. The only thing I can see is its card placement is kind of probably be right in the middle.
You took the words right out of my mouth, buddy. Card placement. What are you thinking with it?
I think it's going to be like a middle of one of the nights and could wind up being after something super hot.
Yeah.
And it could be met with a little bit of a dud scare. I mean, his match with The Miz, the mixed tag was kind of in that spot, and it didn't get crowd wasn't to it. And I do have a slight feeling that Cena might be he might pull a little assert dominance move and maybe lay a chin lock in for a little longer than we might want to see. And So
Maybe his legs weren't ready for the spot, so it's kind
hey,
of
man, I do it at shows all the time, or sometimes in between songs, I'm like, shit, I'm fucking tired. Maybe I'll filibuster for a few more minutes and catch my breath. And hey, man, so that's the reason why I think it's gonna, like you said, 2-3, and like Mike said, 275, because it has the ability maybe to not really like, the numbers mean that. But yeah, that's kind of what I think is gonna affect it. But I feel like Theory getting a couple near falls at the end are gonna make the crowd get super amped up, and if he
yeah.
wins, they're gonna. But I feel like once the near falls start happening, I think the crowd's gonna get.
All right, let's go. Let's go here. The match I previewed with Rocco. Let's throw it in the good category, but I have a feeling that the good might be its ceiling here. There's a slight chance we might get very good to great. They have the capability, but just I don't know if they'll get the time or have the slotting. Rocco, what do you think? Do you want to move down a peg, or do you have faith to move up a little?
I could never go down. I think I would even put it up to what, depending on how it's laid out and how much how they're gonna lay it out with the damage control. The younger girls kind of like making the older stars look great, and I think they have the capability to do that. I think this is gonna be a really quick match. I don't think it's gonna be 5 minutes, but it's not gonna be like a long epic thing. I think it's gonna be a lot of big moves and like really shine up the legends. And um, my brain makes me think a little higher. I'm thinking we're gonna get a big moment with like a big EO kind of flip or something that's gonna really knock it up into like WrestleMania moment status. So I would give it a little higher than a 3-ski.
What do you think, Rossi?
I'm kind of with you, Ryan. I think like 3.25, 3.5 might be its ceiling. Trish hasn't wrestled since SummerSlam 2019, I think it was. So she's gonna be pretty green. She's been in she's in insane shape, like ridiculous looking individual right now. But Lita in that Raw match really scared the shit out of me. But Becky can do it. This could definitely be a match where Becky has to, carry the eggs for the most part. She's got to be the one that keeps this thing together. Which obviously she can do. The crowd should be good for it. The crowd should help it. So that's where I'm kind of I'm kind of being kind in that 3.5 range. So I think it's actually in the right spot. I don't think it's going to bottom out though. So I think right in that like 2.75 to 3.5 range is a good place. So I think right in the middle is good.
Yeah, I would put, we're going to rank these here. I'd put Cena above it, but I think this is the correct tier. All right, guys, I'm feeling froggy. No pun intended here. Talk me out. Talk me out. I'm talking 4.5 stars. It's going to match the same level that Reigns had. Rollins is just on the same level field as Reigns as a wrestler, but more athletic style, which may hurt or help Logan Paul in ring. I would trust Rollins to athletically not do too much for Paul here. I think Paul shined in the Reigns match because it was a slow pace, but a hurry up for impact spot kind of thing where that really suited Logan. I don't think that they're going to go kind of crazy here, but I would say this is a low tier 4.5 star match. Just tiering, talk me down or talk me up as a absolute home run. Who's up first?
Rocco, I know you probably have passion here, so go ahead.
I guess it's not like passion, but to me, for what I would want to see in a match, it's not, I would even go lower than good for me because it just doesn't excite me.
That's outrageous.
Because I don't care. I don't care about them. I don't care about the way they're going to wrestle this match.
All right, I'll move it here for now then.
No, I'm not saying, I know what I'm expecting is so low that I'll probably be slightly impressed, but just their whole interactions, I don't know who's doing what. I don't know why anyone's fighting. Logan Paul has no idea who he is as a good guy or a bad guy. Rollins
he's a bad guy now.
It's going to really bring Rollins down to have to slow his style down, I think, to like get him through this match. But I think this match is just going to show that Seth Rollins is really good at wrestling matches, like leading guys and being a ring general, and he's going to lead them to a match that everyone's going to get really excited for. I don't care about watching these matches that seem just soulless to me. They just don't seem like fights. They seem like an exhibition match that I just never could get into them. And I know that's my personal thing. So I just could never go excellent or with something like this. Just because
I was being extremely optimistic by going to all time 4.5, but just to play devil's advocate and just to find that middle ground. All right, Rossi, where do you find us? Do you think we land in the very good, all time, or good, or Dudski. I don't think we're going Dudski.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere between 3.5 to 4.5. I can see where it goes to the height. I can see where it stays at the floor. But I mean, the 3.5 floor is pretty high, right? So, what I'm really looking forward to here is I feel like it's a natural character for Logan, being a dickhead heel, which, the Reigns build, he was a babyface, trying to get respect, right? And that was like him working as like the smaller babyface to the bigger Reigns. He's almost being booked here as if like he's the bigger of the two, right? With the knockout punch, he's got that ability to knock him out at any point. My only fear would be if it's a little botchy. He misses a spot or something.
Yeah, he goes too fast for him. They kind of. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean Rollins is the type that wants to put on a show. So, but sometimes he can be botchy too because he kind of overdoes it. So, I think it's going to be a really good match. I have no qualms that it will be a bad match by any means, but I think the very good to great is a better spot for it. They could shock me. They could shock me and go all time. But I don't think it's going to be as good as the Reigns match. Let's put it that way.
The idea that this guy has a knockout punch is just ludicrous, by the way. Like, of all the guys in the Fed that have a knockout punch, they give it to this fucking character. Like,
only boxed Floyd Mayweather.
Boxed by, danced around, hugged him for fucking 10 rounds and collected a paycheck.
His brother's a boxer. I get it's stupid, but it adds intrigue. All right, let's get crazy here, guys. Let's get wonky. I don't even know if this match is coming, going, or whatnot. Let's just say Bobby Lashley either faces Bray Wyatt or Bobby Lashley has an open challenge. Maybe, I don't necessarily know. Is this just a Dudski? Is it not happening? Is it okay? What do you think?
I think their best bet if they don't have Bray for this is they have AJ back and he can maybe answer an open challenge with Lashley. That's where the Lashley match can move into that very good great range.
Yeah.
But anything short of that, like if this stands with being Bray, now the build is completely in the shitter. They're going to have to, if they get Bray back in the next week, they're going to have to hot shot and rush it. I keep hearing that, Lashley was sent to SmackDown this coming week. We'll see if it actually happens, but I don't know. I think okay is fine. It's close. It could end up being closer to dud though, without a build. Like a Bray match right now scares me with a build, let alone without one.
Is he hurt? Is his head not in it? That's even those factors we don't even know. All right, Rocco, we good here? You want to go down, or do you trust it to kind of?
Mike said it very well. The same sentiments here. The best case scenario for this match is a surprise opponent for Bobby Lashley. I think.
Is that why we keep it away from a dud and keep it okay?
I mean, I think Bobby Lashley deserves better than a dud.
Yes, I agree.
If Bray shows up and works a match and doesn't have the gimmick bullshit, the smoke, the mirrors, then they can have a good big boy Haas match that ends up being like 6-7 minute brawl that is okay to maybe even low end good, but and by no means is it above that middle line. So I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys. With all due respect, move over, guys. I just don't know who's in this match. I feel like you'll have plenty of ring generals like Natty, even Shayna. What's the rumor? Shayna, Ronda, Natty, Shotzi, Liv and Raquel, and
Carmella and Chelsea. But Carmella now I don't know where Carmella was Monday, so
Chelsea and whoever. So
I almost feel like they went to Piper and Nevin just so they could do the KOD.
Yeah, that's a little kind of smart in a way, I guess. But whatever. I'm good with it being okay. I can see it being good. I just don't think it'll have the placement or the time to get to good. What do you guys think?
I agree. I mean, it's better than a women's battle royal. This is kind of replacing that. Yeah. So much better. Like, it's got more, it's going to have a lot of stuff happening and then a pinfall, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fine. But it's not, there's no story to it. There's really not much.
Yeah, there's nothing
other than, a lot of people I like, but nothing much really.
You good with the good? You good with the okay, Rossi?
Oh yeah. Do you think there's any sort of lane here too that they do this and the Becky match both in the same night to somehow get a tag title match added to Sunday?
I think they're maybe if they want to add filler, but I don't.
I'm just thinking like outside the box. That's where I feel like this could maybe become good because then it has stakes, right? But without stakes, this is going to be
whatever. As a showcase, so I doubt
whatever we have time for. I think the entrances will be longer than the match.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do anything, you give a Monday night Raw whoever wins this gets a little Monday Night Raw, like a title shot or something better than a Mania match.
All right, guys. Empty WrestleMania. It was very near the tier of all time. I had it 4.25. Best match of the weekend. Money in the Bank 2021. Same result, 4.25. All time, almost all time. Now you're on the grandest stage, potentially headlining WrestleMania night 1, or maybe even opening night 2, or even opening night 1. This is going to be in a pillar spot for sure. They want Rhea to do well. Charlotte is in a lane to deliver. I think the story isn't necessarily where it needs to be have you all jazzed up, but I don't necessarily think that will hurt the match. I don't think they have such a deep story because you kind of have two weird placement characters right now. But all that being said, I don't think they need it because they know out there they're going to go out there and deliver a classic match, which delivers a classic moment, which makes stars. And I think they're going to make Rhea Ripley, and I think she's going to win this match. But we're here to talk about how we think it's going to kind of go and from a quality standpoint. What do you guys think? Should we flirt or should we keep it pat?
I'm going full on upper tier. I'm thinking this could be, if it's the main event of night 1, I think we're going like Kurt Brock, alpha fucking athletes going at it. They're going to have something to prove if they're the main event of night 1. And I think, like you said, with no crowd, that match was fucking incredible, right? Like you get a ravenous crowd. People are into both characters. Like when Rhea had her promo on Monday, people weren't wanting her. People were listening to what she was saying. So she's over as fuck right now. You know, fucking Charlotte's always going to be a big deal on the main event and at WrestleMania especially. So I'm thinking this has a chance to just kill it. Like it's going to be like one of those Edge Batistas. Like fuck you, we're going to prove that we belong here. You know, kind of just they're going to fucking kill each other.
Ross, what do you think? You trust it? You trust it in this top tier?
I do. I mean, let's talk about the last few Manias we've had all-time women's matches between Bianca and Sasha to Bianca and Becky, and there's no reason for me to think that these two can't hit that level. So I think Charlotte particularly has something to prove here, and I think Rhea does as well, and that typically is a good thing when you've got two super athletes like these two are wanting to put on a show. So I find no reason to take this out of that tier. I actually would be disappointed at this point if it wasn't, a +4. So I don't even think it needs the main event that first night, as long as it's not behind like something super hot, which I don't think they would do that. Yeah, this if this doesn't headline, it might open a show. I don't know, but either way, this is going to be a goddamn good match. So keep it right there.
Yeah, they got the chemistry to get in there to go in there, deliver, and then they'll be slotted too. My only thing is if it headlines and the crowd doesn't necessarily agree with that, I'm not sure they'll get the engagement to reach this level. But I trust it to be pretty good for what we have out here so far to kind of be there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, say they decide to go Usos, Sammy, and KO on the same show, maybe like 2 or 3 matches before it. The crowd's going to be gassed by the main event, so that's where it could
be 2 earlier.
Yeah, but even then, I then maybe you're talking a 4-star match instead of a 4.5. So I still think it would be in that upper tier regardless.
Plus, I think that they could put on the type of match that'll win a crowd over if the crowd's a little tired, because they're gonna wait. It's gonna be a hard hitting fucking match. I just feel it. I'm very excited for this.
I'm excited. I was gonna say I'm very excited for these 2 chicks. All right, let's go here. This comes down to slotting. This comes down to really what they're given. What's the structure of it? I think they can go out there and easily deliver a good to great match. I think they could go out there and deliver an okay match if they're giving 4 minutes and it's rushed and we have a New Day situation from last year. But it's a showcase match, so I think 3 is safe. I would put it just slightly above the 6 women's if we were going to like kind of rank them within the tier. What do you guys think? Should we move it up, down? What?
One of my favorite matches of Mania last year was that multi-team tag match that they did. And it wasn't long. It didn't have to be long. It didn't have to be drawn out. They just went out, hit their spots. I think that entire match went like 10, 11 minutes or something. And 2 of those 3 teams are in this match here. So, and then you're adding in the Viking Raiders who rule, and Ricochet with Strowman, which they both do something that will add to this match a ton. So yeah, I mean, I'd keep it right here. But it won't go lower than good. It could hit very good. if they get the proper time.
I just don't think they'll get the placement or the time.
No.
Rocco, you good with this spot?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the big difference between this and the women's is that these are real teams, and the one team that's not is still, been doing it for a while. And these are some these guys have been doing it. A lot of long-standing dudes with a lot of pedigree to them that can do in a short match a lot, right?
I'd say my biggest fear here is that they do too much with the maximum male models with Otis. That could goof the match up a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd like to see some of that, but you could have like a walkout situation like you had on Raw this week, and that could just dumb the match down a little bit. But even then, the other guys are so good.
Yeah, let's give the girls respect. We'll put them back there. All right, you talked me out of. Let's push them back to the end of the line of that tier. I think the girls will be slaughtered and have more importance in their eyes. All right, guys, let's get weird. I think we can get really weird with this one. I'm going to put this one in between Charlotte and in between Seth right now. This is the Hell in the Cell. I don't know. This could easily be an all-time. This could easily be okay if they get too weird. This is a very polarizing match. I don't think Edge will go out there and let them have a dud. I don't know. This one's kind of polarizing in my opinion. I think we're safe here, but I could be swayed either way. Rocco, you kind of set the tone here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it's gonna get weird and odd with demon stuff. Once again, like we said, the demon as a bad guy is an interesting thing, but it could work. It depends. I think Edge is. It's either way. It's probably gonna be the best Hell in a Cell in WrestleMania. Well, I guess everyone likes the Michaels, the Undertaker
that
trips.
one's gonna be hard to beat.
Yeah, that's probably the best. But it depends. Is Edge gonna fight it like the Rollins Saudi match? Because I don't think you really want a real long Hell in a Cell kind of in a WrestleMania. Edge is.
Where's Edge too?
Yeah, that's the weirdest part. Does Edge go 30 minutes at a Hell in a Cell at a WrestleMania? It's going to be an interesting.
Probably 20.
Yeah, right. I mean, 20 is good, right? 20. Yeah, 20. It could keep it up here. You get a little longer than that, and I think it's going to get a little. People are not going to get too excited. I'm a prop bet. Is Edge getting color in this match? Because then it gets up to the. He's not to knock it up a little higher.
Maybe if he comes out with the Brood, is that a lose-lose if he gets color that way? He spits out the mist, and then I need a disclaimer.
You get 1 point for blood, negative 1 point for Gangrel. But yeah, man, I don't know. This is probably the biggest.
What if really
flux? It could either, it has the biggest range of it could be good or. It's probably the one that scares. If Ray and Charlotte excites me the most, this one scares me the most of what could happen.
Yeah. What do you think, Rossi? This is Edge is your guy. I'm optimistic, but I'm cautious.
So the thing that really worries me is we keep talking about where something's going to be placed. Mm-hmm. Inevitably, something's not going to be placed good because not everything can be. And yeah, there's some filler here with the two showcase matches. With Brock and Omos, with whatever LA Knight does, as we'll talk about here in a minute. But other than that, there's really no filler, right? So this is a match that if they get too wonky and they worried me with it on Monday with the promo, bring your demon and meet my devil or whatever he said. It can get weird, and that's where they might lose the crowd a little bit because it could be one of those things like the Hell in a Cell.
Long in the tooth, yeah.
Yeah, it could be kind of like that Hell in a Cell that Shawn and Taker had. I'm sorry, Triple H and Taker had with Shawn as the ref. I always feel like that match was awesome to the TV viewer because you got to hear what they were saying to each other. You got to see all the stuff that they were intricately putting into the match. But to the live viewer, it felt kind of flat. Right. Mm-hmm. Even though the crowd was into it, this could be like that there could be storytelling that we see at home. And it could be something that if the crowd's tired, if it's not in a spot where the crowd can give it its all, they might not react to this to the same level. They'll pop to, Finn's entrance. They'll pop to Edge's entrance. But they might gas themselves out with that. I think it's by no means will it be below a very good to great. I just don't know if it'll ever hit that all-time tier because of all of that. It could, but there's some things that get me. There's some things that kind of have me worried.
How about night two? Does this little pitch sway you either way? Night 2 opener. What do you think?
I like that.
Night
mean,
2
this is.
opener is kind of a good
I don't
spot.
know if I don't know if I want this match in the daytime though. That's the weird
I
thing.
was gonna
Yeah,
say, do they with
good
that
point.
roof closed? Is it daytime? I was just gonna say that. I think
Yeah,
if
but
the sun beats in,
yeah, you kinda got a hard spot either way. That's
Was
the
it
hell this Hell in Saudi was outside though in the outdoors, so I don't
that
know.
match was so good, and that's the thing is I'm already thinking about that match. I mean, I don't know if they can beat that match. That match was so fucking good. So,
Alright,
yeah,
alright, executive decision. We'll reassess this later. I'm gonna
I
leave it
think
at this
that's right.
tier. I'm gonna leave it at this tier. I'm gonna bump up Seth a little bit.
This is Faith and Edge, right?
Yep.
Push him up, Faith and Edge, and maybe
I mean,
maybe
Faith
Priest
and
will
Finn
go.
too.
And then Priest doesn't. It might be the only guy in Judgment Day without a match, so maybe he's coming out and getting thrown off the top of
Yeah!
the cage.
Rocco, let me talk to you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Whatever he's gonna do, it's gonna be electric, but it's not gonna be all time. Any chance? I don't think we're gonna have a necessarily match, but we could have a WrestleMania 21 goes Hollywood scenario where we get LA Knight Carlito style. I would say they're similar spot, have a little cabana. LA Knight comes out there talking shit, and you get a little glass broken. You get a little, yeah, what? Yeah, what? Back and forth. Go home, stunner. See you later. You're on a push now after WrestleMania. I think it's going to be good, but I think it's going to be good. I'd go right there with it. What do you guys say?
If the thing you just happens, I'm gonna be eating it up. My wife's gonna be like, "Why are you jumping up and down on the fucking couch, you maniac?" I'm like, "A Stone Cold's in the ring. It's a WrestleMania, and you got a guy that can hold up against them and is good enough to know when yeah, I love that scenario right there. Love it.
Put that above Logan and Rollins and Very Good to Great.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking
Come
segments, man,
on!
You
if we're
have.
talking
I think you
segments,
have
yeah,
to.
man.
I think you have to because that will be the segment. Which we'll talk about another one later, but that's the segment that pops the casual viewer that's watching at a house party.
Think about WrestleMania 30 with him and The Rock in the ring, man. Like that's better than most of the matches that happened at WrestleMania 30, man.
Yeah,
That
that's
has
like
The
that,
only
baby.
the only concern here is that we're giving it too high of an expectation. It's
I
not
know.
Austin, and then
Yeah.
it goes all the way down the list. But LA Knight's good, man. The crowd's gonna be eating out of his hand regardless of what it is, and then if that glass breaks, I mean it's there without them even touching each other.
All right. We'll reassess it, but it's gonna be fun. All right, guys. Oof. Um, I'm very intrigued. You know what I mean? I'm like, the weigh-in's good. The build's been silly, but I kind of like it. I like how Brock's into wanting to have a match with Omos, but I'm into the Brock Lesnar of this. But the Omos of it is kind of just like, it's Omos. What are we doing? The floor is yours. I have a top tier of okay. It could be good. It could be a complete dud. What do you guys say?
Five's him. It can't be a dud.
No, I know. I don't think it's going to be a dud. I think it's going to be top. Where I put it is where I think. Talk me out of it.
I think you have it in a good spot out of respect for the people that are in the good tier.
Yeah.
But it could very easily I hate to even say this because the seat is there, but I think if they book this match well and they execute it well, it could be the highest match in that good tier of those four.
Okay. We got ourselves a pretty good WrestleMania. Oh, Rocco, what do you think? You think it's
I mean, without AJ Styles in the match with Omos, man, I don't have any faith in it being any good. It's like a freak show thing. It's like when you see that weird appetizer on a restaurant menu, you're like, yeah, I'll get that weird jalapeno stuffed fucking crab dick. Give it to me. I'll try one bite of it. Like, it's just such a weird match at a WrestleMania that.
Yeah, you're either going to be into this match because it's fun and entertaining from like super freak Brock athletic level, or you're going to be intrigued because it's fucking funny because of how bad it is. There's a place in the world for that. So.
Yeah, as a guy who likes DDT and like it's almost like a UFC 1. You know what I mean? It's almost like a cop fighting the big sumo dude. It's like it's a crazy clash of styles that you really don't body shapes that you don't really see in WWE anymore. So it's definitely that really cool. It's like Akibono fighting fucking Great Muta in Japan.
It's like
it's crazy shit.
Yeah, it's like the final scene of a movie, right?
Yeah,
Brock fights some people to get to the final boss, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I like
We're
that
good where we're
idea.
at. All right, I love it. All right, so guys, this
This
one's
is the type of match that in a few years, Ryan, when we do Cornoso Monthly, I'm gonna talk about 20 minutes for this match because it's gonna blow my mind. Just
I'll
the
put it
weirdest shit
now.
ever.
So this is an anticipated match strictly off storytelling and character work. This feud has been really teased for 2 years. This feud has been groaned on for the potential of it for 2 years, and this feud is at a height of anticipation and kind of like, "Oh my god," that none of us really anticipated or expected. That's Rey Mysterio versus Dom Mysterio. They haven't announced it yet, but you know it's coming. I don't know. I'm just putting it at the top tier of good right now. If we wanted to go great, fuck, like low tier great, right behind next to Edge, I'm good. I think this is the safe spot for it. It's still what, a 45-year-old Rey with plenty of stem cells. And you don't know, this could be Rey Mysterio's last match, and I'm sure he wants to shine his son up real good. It just might be more story than match, which is probably a good thing for these two, but it might hurt the overall structure of the delivery. But I don't think we're done. So I think that we're kind of this is just gonna be a continuing story. So I think we're gonna have a very good match. I would consider this like WrestleMania 26 CM Punk versus Rey, where you it's a great story coming in. It's gonna be really good, but then you get there and you're like, oh fuck, they only get 6 minutes, and then they feud for another 4 or 5 months. So that's my kind of safe spot for it. If we even want to move Cena ahead of it, I'm good too. What do you guys think?
This is kind of what Rocco was saying with that Edge Finn match. Is I feel like this has the widest range. Because to your point, if it's the first match of a feud and Dom cheats and gets a quick roll up in 6 minutes, that might dud, right? But that dud is to make what happens down the road more impactful, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they end up then going to like mask versus hair or whatever like that, I do think that Puerto Rico show is going to have something big with this and with Bad Bunny involved, not necessarily in the match, but maybe as like an enforcer or something, right? So I do think this is really the start of the feud, even though it feels like it's been going on for a while. You know that these two have ideas that they want to do with each other. They've probably been talking about it for a decade now, even before, Dom was really old enough to do it. But I just don't think that they're going to be given the rope here to do that match, and they're going to save some of that for down the road.
I think the crowd could really elevate this match, even if they have a little bit of time, because they're going to be ravenous against Dom. It could be not that big of a. It could be a shorter match with not a lot of crazy shit going on, because the crowd's going to be so fucking angry and volatile towards him that it could really push it to a higher level. I mean,
You got enough story there to get there too, Roscoe.
Yeah, and the crowd's gonna fucking hate him. And if he does get a cheap win, the crowd's gonna fucking be super pissed. Maybe this is where you give your priest interference or something. And like you said, it's setting up something most likely. So I think it could just be a really like crazy, like just the crowd's gonna be so fucking pissed after this. And
All right, so play it safe, top tier of good, or you want to move it Cena above it?
I would say middle tier of good, maybe before the women. Yeah, so after Cena.
All right, that works. All right, guys, let's get weird. Let's distance ourselves. I think the sky the limit here. This has 5-star potential, and I don't really think that the floor is below very good. I think this is easily a home run. It's the heart of the story of the build to this whole WrestleMania, and that's the Usos versus KO and Sammy. Just can't miss in my eyes. If it's the opener, or if it's the main event, I just think that I don't think the result is necessarily in question, but I think that doesn't hurt the quality of the match we're going to get anyways. Usos are going to solidify themselves as one of a top 3 team of all time, a top 3 team currently. Just an absolute banger of a home run. You might make Jey Uso in this match, but Sammy and KO, the story's there from the win the tag titles, and I know they got the hug out of the way, and I'm not mad at that, but to really embrace each other and have career goals of winning the WWE Tag Team Championship together at a WrestleMania on a mega stage. The story there, everything's there, all-time tier. I'm going to move it above Charlotte just to play it safe. What do you guys think?
I mean, I agree. Like one of the best tags of all time. Don't forget that Owens and Generico were an amazing tag team themselves for many years. I mean, outside of WWE. And yeah, this match is gonna fucking rule. Like, there's no
It's
way
gonna
it can't
fucking rule.
rule. Like, without a story, this could be on a random main event and it'd rule. But
And then we
throw in,
have the story, the
yeah,
investment, we have everything.
yeah. I mean,
Everything we can ask for.
it could come after a Hogan Warrior, and the crowd's still gonna lose their mind after it. They're not gonna be tired, no matter where you put it. It's gonna fucking rule, and it's gonna be yeah, very excited to watch this one.
Rossi, you good with it here?
Yeah, I think that has to be our top match right now. I not that I think there's anything wrong with Charlotte Rhea, like I said before. I just think that the floor on that's a little bit higher than the floor on this one would be. A little bit lower, I should say, than the floor on this one would be. I mean, if we're starting star ratings, this is probably a 3.5 when the bell rings. So, yeah, I mean, this could get to 5. This could, if you look at me at the end of this Mania and you say that was the best Mania match of all time, I don't think that I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I might be in a spot where I don't argue it.
all right, guys. While I'm fully erect, let's stay erect. All right. I'm going to take this IC triple threat, stick it right in the middle. Oh, right in the middle of Charlotte and Rhea in the tag match, and sway me either way. Like I said, if they for some reason go out there and have 8 minutes, this is at the floor a good match. I think it's going to easily get the time. I think Triple H really likes all 3 of these guys. Triple H is really into pushing that Intercontinental Championship. Triple H is in Gunther season. Gunther could main event WrestleMania in the next 2 years. So I don't think that Triple H would put this in a spot where it's necessarily hurts the card. But look at these top 3 tier all-time matches we got right here. That could be night 1, guys. Which is fucking insane.
Yeah, and honestly, when we talk about the last 2 matches, they're gonna probably fit right into that too. And I mean, they'll have a creative finish. I suspect Gunther loses the title here without getting pinned. But that's cool.
For Sheamus's moment to add to it, you can have potential for Drew's heel turn to add to the moment. I think moments matter too.
Yeah, the sky's the limit for this match. This is another one when the bell rings, the 3 of them are staring at each other. They're already at 3.5. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is perfect placement just because I feel like the crowd's going to be hot for this, but they won't be the nuclear level that they will be for that tag match. So it's a step below.
Yep.
What a great first match. What a great first Mania match for Gunther, right? Like, fucking, that's such a good one. And the whole Sheamus McIntyre personal thing adds the emotional element to this whole match that just makes it, because triple threats are always, it could be a little weird, but that right there gives you so many cool moments that could happen in the match. So yeah, this fucking drool.
Looking at this card, like this could open the show without question and just tear the roof off.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, guys. We got the Raw Women's title here. I'm going to stick it at the very end of very good to great and right above very good. I could go either way. I could move this right up to LA Knight. I could move this right up behind Lita. Really, I don't know which way to go. There's no story here, but athletically, when has Bianca Belair disappointed at WrestleMania? She's 2 for 2 with two really home runs. Last year was excellent, and the year before was very, very, very good in a great moment. Asuka's with this new character, they probably gonna have a lot to prove. And just by the build of it, but the only thing that concerns me is just by the build of it, I don't think we're gonna come to a conclusion, which might hurt the overall quality. If we wanted to go to good, I'm okay with it, like around the Doms area. But if we want to stay here too, all due respect to these women, this is just based off their potential when the bell rings. What do you guys think?
Obviously, Asuka's one of my all-time favorites. The level is super high. The worst case scenario was like what, like Shinsuke AJ?
Yeah, which was probably slotted right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and led to 3 other matches or multi. Like it's once again we always say sometimes the feud doesn't end at Mania. It could be the catalyst for more cool shit. I think that's probably where this is going to go. I think one of their characters is going to make a right turn in this match and lead to more stuff down the road. But I mean, like I said, if it's Asuka in a match, I'm always, it's always one of my favorites on the card.
Yeah, I'm good. What do you think, Rossi? Do you think we're good here? Do you want to move it up, down? What do you think? I could go either way.
Really. I think you're good there because even if they do the start of a feud, it kind of makes me think the same way that Ray and Dom does. I think it's the start of a feud. I think Asuka could win this. I don't want to say like in a squash, but I think she could win this in a quicker fashion than people think to kind of just reheat her up. They already have been. I mean, the Rumble heated her up. Chamber went further with it. But beating Bianca, who's had the title for a year, in relatively quick fashion, I think would really bring her to the next level. And I feel like that's one of Triple H's goals because he was always her she was always his pet project in NXT. And I mean, obviously not much of a project. It took off right away. But then she came to the main and kind of, had a hot run to start and then kind of lost their momentum at that Mania. So this to me is a spot for him to take her and push her right back to that level. And I really don't think it hurts Bianca because there could be more in a continuation of this feud with maybe heel turn the next night or even post-match here. So I think you're in the right spot here. I don't think they're going to get the match here that Rhea and Charlotte will, and I think a lot of that might have to do with that, is they're going to want to push Rhea and Charlotte as the two biggest women in the company right now, that they don't give these two the same time by proxy.
I think that's the safe pick. All right, guys, it's been a great episode. Catch us out on part 2. I'm just kidding.
It's a dud.
This if this happens, that's concerning. I'm optimistic, of course, but I'm just playing the game. Where do you think it's gonna land on where I kind of allow it? It's Roman Reigns. When the bell rings, it's at a height of no one in this company. You know what I mean? Just anticipation wise, meaningfulness, let's put it that way. But unfortunately on the other side of there is Cody Rhodes. With it and Cody wins, does it hurt or help it? I think right there, I think they can very capably have this match right here. 4-star, very good match. I think they could have the equivalent of John Cena versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam 2021. Very good to low tier great, right? What they're capable of doing as of right now. They have, I don't know if they have another face-to-face. It's very smart that they haven't touched yet. I'm going to say that. That's old school build. It's very smart, very good. But would the moment of Cody winning propel it to all-time status, a tier up, or could it propel it where half the crowd to their core necessarily don't want that, and he could get low-key rejected? I don't think they're set up for that, but my guard is up. What say you guys? Talk to me.
I was so amped up for the main event last year, even though it was Brock Reigns for the gazillionth time, that it disappointed me. I know there was obviously things in the way there that
they cut 8 minutes because
the injuries caused it. It really wasn't their fault, and they brought back that SummerSlam match that paid me back, right? Yeah. They could get too wonky with this. I've been back in the Dusty finish to kind of do same story that happened to his dad. That could be fun, but also too much to close a Mania. I think it's got to be on that first tier. I think it's above everything that's in very good to great. But I struggle putting it above like that Gunther match.
Yeah.
So, but it could, if it's done correctly, it could be the number one.
But we know they're going to have the crowd. We know that they could easily put whatever Bray Wyatt and Lashley's doing before that. They could even throw the women's tag team match before that.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
They could totally pad it where the crowd is come down so they can come back up. They could set this match up for success. It's just when that bell rings for the final 3 count, what's the reaction? That's the moment where you're like, and honestly, I'm not taking away what they've done for Cody. They've done a really good job. People could be like, still Roman? What the fuck? You could even get that reaction, which may hurt a moment too. But I don't know, Rocco, your radio silence for us here.
I'm thinking.
Sway us a little bit here. This one's hard. I'd save this last because it's the main event, and I think it's the hardest to kind of gauge.
My thoughts are that what could Cody do in a match with Roman that Sammy didn't do a couple last pay-per-view, right? So it could be almost looking at it that way of, can he get a crowd as ravenous as Sammy did there? Probably not, because it's like you're saying, it's not his hometown crowd, and there could be mixed people. But I do really think that, I know you guys are higher on Roman and Brock matches than I am, but Roman has, to me, this could be a really defining wrestle. It's his 10th WrestleMania match, right? And to me, I'm not a big fan of other than the first Brock match. I think that's the best Brock match he's had at a Mania. But he hasn't always had these great Mania matches. Like, and he's had a lot of main events. The Trips was a bummer. The Undertaker was a bummer. The Drew was kind of a nothing. And you get the Brock ones, and like, so I think there's a lot to prove of him having this epic like Mania main event that could really be tight. And is it on Cody's? Is it? It's cool that it's a Mania main event that has never happened, right?
It's Triple H's first WrestleMania main event too.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You don't know how he would look at it and how he would book it. Honestly, if you look at his track record, 18, he probably had a lot of say in that match. Not very good. 25 had a lot of say in that match. Not very good. 35 probably had a lot of say in that match. Not very good. So I am optimistically there, but I'm very guarded. I'm guardedly optimistic is my kind of time frame. I don't think Triple H would fail necessarily as an overall picture thing, but as a big moment thing, I'm nervous for it.
My thought here is I think of the past Reigns matches, right? Like the Rumble match with KO was a good match, but the storytelling post match was the moment, right? But then you go back to like Clash of the Castle, the Drew match, that was a fucking awesome match. And yeah, the storytelling at the end was Solo, but you were on the edge of your seat because you thought that was a moment that that Drew could win, right? And that's where I think the excitement here is going to be there. Is, the KO match, you knew he wasn't going to win. I think even the Sammy match, you knew he wasn't going to win, right? Some people might have talked themselves into that, but I think at the end of the day, you knew that he wasn't going to win. Here, you expect Cody to win. So that's where the storytelling can become better than, most of Reigns' matches are, because you're watching it. I think Cody's going to win, but there's a lane that Reigns wins. And that's when I love wrestling the most, is when I go into a match, especially a main event match like this, that, I don't necessarily 1000% know who the winner is. With the tag match, I think you do, right? But I still think it's a 4.5, 5-star match, easy, right? So that's the thing that kind of keeps me having to put this into that top tier here with the other three matches. Because it's going to have excitement regardless.
Do you think we're doing sorry, real quick. Do you think we're doing like an Attitude Era, like brawly main event too? Like,
I think Cody needs it. I honestly, physically, I think Cody needs that. Yes.
That's what I was thinking. And because this card has nothing, right? There's no ladder match. The Hell in the Cell's one.
Hell in a Cell.
There's not even a no DQ match or anything. Maybe Ray and Dom might be or something like that. But like, I think this could be really a match where there's a lot of stuff. Like, is it going to be a run-in match? Is it going to be a brawling match? It's going to be interesting.
And then no DQ also opens up the door for bloodline interference. Yeah, so that just adds to more drama, like especially with Solo, right?
All right, so this is all right. Let me make my last volley. All right, I initially put it here. I want to keep it here for this reason of them booking him into a threat of losing it with Drew. That's the first time it delivered. And then when we got to War Games, we didn't know how things were going to shake down. It delivered. We got to Royal Rumble. We knew how Roman was going to win, but we weren't sure how it was going to play out with the big angle. It delivered because of the drama and because of Roman's storytelling. The same thing at Elimination Chamber. Sure, we had a debate on the clotheslines and headlines right after it. Should Sammy have won? We still didn't know. We can fool ourselves and say we didn't know, but we still put on the I don't know hat because we really didn't. They did such a good job of storytelling. This story has been told really well. Due to the story, I'm going right here. I'm optimistic. I explained why I'm guarded. The trip, like Rocco said, Roman Reigns does not have the history of WrestleMania bangers. But in the recent history of the last 6 months of me just laying out what I laid out, I'll go recency biased opposed to Roman Reigns. Dun. This story has been built to really climax to right now. I think Cody's done a really good job of incorporating the what if with the bloodline, which kind of will add to the story of the match. I'm sure there's tea leaves everywhere that we'll look back on, which will add to the structure, that will add to the story. I don't necessarily sure we need a stip here, but I think we might get one. I don't know. I'm optimistically, even though I was guarded at first, I'm optimistically on guard, but I still think that due to the story and Rhea and Charlotte not necessarily having a story, that we're gonna go here because we got the story in the tag match. I expect that to be the best match on the card. And then just from a delivery standpoint, Gunther and Sheamus and Drew, I think will be the second best match, and I think this will be the third best match on the card. But if you want to move the girl, Charlotte and Rhea back up, I'm not wrong. If you want to move Roman to the very good tier, I don't think I'm wrong either. That's my last volley. What do you guys say?
I think that's if those 4 matches like
we're optimistic.
deliver,
I know it.
But just if those 4 matches deliver like they could, man, this card is really fucking like
It's
there's
good,
no like it's really solid. There's not a lot of like old dudes. Like they really this is an in-house WrestleMania, and man,
so that's a great way of putting it. This is an in-house WrestleMania. It's Triple H's first one. It's in LA. The only thing we're optimistic on it, the only thing we're overvaluing is LA Knight, but I'm here for it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Fuck it. Let's go right there. LA
You always
Knight.
need a good segment on a man.
And here's my challenge to you guys. Every WrestleMania is got disappointments.
Absolutely.
So let's assume that we have to take at least 2 of these matches and move them into the dud category. Let's take
one.
Yeah, let's say that I bet we can pull 2 duds out of each of the last 3 manias.
Well, describe a dud. Like last year's dud was Vince versus Pat McAfee. It wasn't even announced. I think everything delivered last year. But
I mean, you can say like there was an injury, but the Uso Shinsuke match when Boogs got hurt.
But they still went out and had a 2-star match. When Boogs got hurt, Nakamura had 2.5 solid minutes of in-ring work that I wouldn't call it a dud. That's just lazy calling that a dud.
Okay, so maybe we don't have to move 2 down there, but if you had to move 1, what would it be?
Hell in the Cell. Hell in the Cell.
I mean, I would probably say Lashley, right? Which isn't going far.
Oh, the dud category? I would go
because I mean Lashley Omos last year sucked.
It was low-key okay, but it sucked.
What's kind of funny is
the tag match sucked. The New Day Sheamus match sucked.
Yeah,
that was a dud.
In the past, all these matches would be on one night, which is insane, right?
I know.
It's just going to be such a hot double night of just look at
2
the
nights,
card, man.
big time. All right, so let's work our way. I'm good with that. I was going to move that there anyways. I was working my way to the top to the bottom, but let's move from the bottom to the top. We don't even know what this is. Sorry, Bobby Lashley. It's a dud. This is here because it's going to be wonky in a sprint. This is with all due respect to Brock Lesnar to be okay.
I think with those 2 matches in the okay, they're going to entertain us enough that they won't be duds.
I'm okay moving either one of these tag matches to the okay, and I'm good leaving them here. This father versus son, the story's too good to be okay. I think they will go out there and deliver. Triple H is too invested in this for it to not deliver. I think this is a very safe middling spot right here. It could be great, honestly, but I just don't. I wouldn't put my chips down on it. I would move this down to good if I had to, but I'm good leaving it here. This is the wild card. This is safe, but a wild card. This is just us being wonky, and I think this is this is safe here, but then again, you think Charlotte and Ronda last year, they're in the wrong roles. Rhea's the heel, Charlotte is the babyface. You can make a case that that's only very good or even good if it's rejected. I made my case for this. I think I trust Roman. I trust Roman in this spot. I think these 2 are can't moves. So
yeah, those top 2 are certifiable right there.
Yeah, like I could see the Hell in a Cell and the Oscar and Bianca match that are at the tail end of our second tier. They're very good to great. If those ended up down a tier and the Cena Theory match moved up, I wouldn't be surprised. So that ultimately, I think we're in the right spot because those are kind of stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, I got to do that. We can't be crazy with that.
My biggest thing is my weird criticism of when I think of match ratings and rating a match in a certain way is that a WrestleMania main event has to be better than good. Yes. So that's why my Brock Roman main events are, to me, they've always just been good. they've never, except for the first one, which was like, that's a crazy fucking, like, so that's the only thing, is if either the two the two top singles matches that we have for the belts are just good, then it's a kind of a failure in my eyes, and that's the only way it can make them out of this excellent range. But like you said, oh man, I got faith. Maybe you're rubbing off of me, Ryan. I got a little faith.
Yeah, like if you took those top two, the Usos, KO and Sammy, and KO and Sammy match, and the Gunther match, they would almost be their own tier, right?
Yeah,
because you could talk me into the second two there, disappointing to a level just because they're the quote unquote main events.
Right.
And I could see those missing much before the others. So I think your top tier and even the second tier is placed correctly.
Yeah,
cool.
Good. I think we did good, guys.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for Clotheslines and Headlines, YouTube style. Rocco, why don't you explain what we got coming up on the audio version so they can kind of check us on there?
I'm going to go through some statistics of WrestleMania appearances and guys who have done stuff, and some interesting stuff that I found. I did a little spreadsheet ski, which was not my normal thing that I do, and just go through some of the interesting, like who's got the most WrestleMania matches in a row, who's losing a streak this year, who's not on, whose first ones it is. So just some numbers I went through that I found interesting that I think we could talk about. And I actually wanted to mention the whole KO and Sammy's history in WrestleMania, because I think it was really interesting when I looked at it.
And Rossi, you have some indie corner for us to kind of preview or not preview, highlight what you anticipate to be really good on the weekend of WrestleMania, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, I did a full show last year. I'm not going to do that this year. So I kind of condensed it down to what I think will probably be like 5 or 10 minutes of a preview. And then I'm going to give you guys the 5 wrestlers to watch if you're watching the indie shows. And also, if I was in LA, what I would go to, which I think that kind of is the best way that I can respect it. If I would take part of my vacation and go to these shows, It's the ones that I think are can't miss.
Cool. All right, guys, catch us on YouTube. Thank you.